Hey everybody, welcome into Auto Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I'm your host Jamie, and I got my co-host Eli over there on the other side. Welcome on in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we have another one for you guys, and it's going to be a blast. We're jumping on into Jacory Merritt.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
Arizona.
He's kind of the hot prospect right now. Yeah, it's been a long day for both of us. So we're actually filming this on Tuesday. Jay, it's tax day. What? I got the gavel. Whoa, whoa.
Calm
Too much.
down over there. Calm
Yep.
down over there.
That was the tax collectors at my door. Looking for some extra money I didn't pay. But Jacory Croskey-Merritt tonight. Looking forward to banging this out for everybody. But as always, we got to take care of a little business. You know what? You know where you can find us at. Okay, there's my handle. There's Jay's handle over on the X. Spotify. You can go back and listen to any of the previous content. I know that's my personal preference. Jay loves Spotify too. Who doesn't love Spotify? Got music pods. I mean, everything's over there. Discord, if you ever want to hear Jay's thoughts. I should be on there more. I'm not, I'll be honest. And we're, a couple other places too, the Instagram and a few other places we're at. DM us if you have any suggestions for any, players, because we got players. We got a couple weeks until the draft. So we got a little bit of time to try to bang out maybe a couple more spotlights. So, couple guys we're thinking about, but yeah, we're always open to suggestions as well. So, X, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, you can find us a bunch of different places if you want to see a particular player. So because there's guys rising up the board, Jay, and there's guys going down.
Yes, there is, and we're only a couple weeks away from the NFL draft and WrestleMania at the same time.
Yeah,
So
it's a bit.
Yeah.
I think our guy LA Knight. I think he's fighting Jacob Fatu. So I hope he keeps his U.S. title. That'll be great. We love LA Knight here. Obviously we do that a couple times every show, because why the hell not? It's our show. We love it.
Right?
Yeah, no, man. Like I was mentioning, long day for us, but we're gonna crank this out. We're gonna get to the business at hand. There we go. I'm back. We're back. Oof, oof. Hold up. I can see you now. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Can you see me?
Yep, you're there. Yep. Okay. So Jacory Croskey-Merritt. A lot of guys didn't know a bunch of stuff about him until the East West Shrine Bowl game. Really, because he's been a hidden gem if you think about it, Jay. He spent his first 4 years at Alabama State. So he kind of the FCS level. So he wasn't. If you just follow the FBS, the major college programs, you've never heard of Croskey-Merritt, but he's been rising up the boards, especially after the this past year's East West Shrine Bowl game, and then in 2023, he was a top 20 fantasy back over when he was at New Mexico. So, which pretty much got him the ability to transfer over to Arizona. For the one game that he played. Yeah, we argued back and forth. We're like, that's kind of some bullshit. He ran out of eligibility after a game. I mean, come on now. So
It
just
is.
let the guy play the whole season. I think Arizona was shit this year. They were 4-8. They would have been a hell of a lot better had they got a full slate of Jacory Croskey-Merritt. And Jay probably agrees with me on that. They'd probably be at least 7 or 8 win team, because they had like no running game, and they had nobody to help out back in the boys. But
it makes me think about the UNC last year, like Walker. Makes me think about that a little bit. Where he transferred to UNC, and then they said, "Oh, you don't have any edge ability." So it's just like, what? Come on.
It's like, so he could. So yeah, in the one game he did play, I didn't. I usually include all the game log from 2024. the previous season. Well, I had to go back a couple years. The one that's ticking on the bottom right now, his stats are actually from 2023 when he was at New Mexico. So, because you could probably just look up the Arizona game yourself because it was one, and he had 100. Spoiler alert: he was going to be damn good. I think he was going to easily replicate the year he had in New Mexico. Where he had almost 1,200 yards rushing and 17 touchdowns for sure. But there's a couple other bits of information we'd like to kind of put out there for everybody as well. If you're not super familiar with him, I use 3 sources for the running back rankings. I use usually it's some kind of mixture of Draft Buzz, ESPN, CBS Sports, there's a couple different places. PFF, I usually go to. So I use Draft Buzz, CBS Sports, and PFF for this running back in particular. PFF has him ranked as the number 25 running back overall, 235. NFL Draft Buzz, the 30th ranked running back, and then CBS Sports, the 20th ranked running back. So I think a couple of these sources are, it just depends on your preference because obviously CBS Sports has him a little higher up. I mean, that's the equivalent of probably a 6th-round pick. If it went kind of the way CBS Sports was looking at it, and then if you're looking at Draft Buzz, he's an undrafted free agent. So I think that's kind of the variance. Is he a late round pick? Is he a late day 3 guy, or is he an undrafted free agent? Kind of in the mold of some of our favorite guys, Keaton Mitchell, Jaylen Warren from the Steelers, guys like that. Rico Dowdle, who actually had a really good year with the Cowboys last year. Guys like that kind of went off the beaten path and have kind of carved out nice fantasy careers in the NFL so far. But I'm going to go with the median here, Jay. I'm going to say he's a projected 7th-round pick. And so when I put up my projected teams in their draft position, I'm going to use the 7th round, because to me, that's the most likely place that he's at, especially with the buzz going on. I think he's going to get drafted because there's a bunch of teams bringing him in right now. I think recently the Commanders and Chargers both brought him in. So he's a hot name. Teams are allowed to bring in the top 30 players, and he's been on a bunch of teams' lists. So talked to a bunch of teams at the East-West Shrine Bowl game. So, he's been on people's radar for a couple months now in the NFL. Combine, his stats, 5'11", 208. At his pro day, ran a 4.45. So, I mean, those are all, suitable NFL running back numbers. I mean, he fits the mold. There's no, he's not, I mean, people run about Ashton Genty, because Ashton's 5'8", 5'7", he's a smaller running back. But he's also not a 6'4" or where he's too tall to run through. So I think he got a nice size, nice 40 time, really strong. His max acceleration and deceleration is like the best since 2018 when they tested it. So I mean he's got some elite skills, elite vision, great footwork. Let's see. So he was a 6-year. That's why he ended up in that situation, Jay. He ended up in that 1-game situation with Arizona because he was a 6-year senior and he wasn't hurt. He didn't redshirt any years. I mean, he played a legit 4 years at Alabama State. He played a legit year at New Mexico where he kind of blew up. And then, obviously this year. So he just ran out of eligibility. So because we know that what that was that tight end from Miami, not our boy Arroyo, but the other one that didn't he play 9 years? Wasn't he like the Van Wilder of fucking college? So this wasn't a situation like that where he was, tore an ACL or so he said, and that's another. I think that's another feather in his cap, Jay. Is he hasn't had any major injuries. He doesn't even have a huge college workload. If you think about it, he has 1 year, and that was 2023 where he had a damn good fantasy year. He's got 1 year where he had a heavy workload. Every other year, his body for being 24 years old. I think I think he projects more as a 21 or a 22-year-old, so I don't think age is going to hurt him. He doesn't, he's got more tread on the tires, as they say. So, but to get back to the list here, and then we'll kind of switch it up to another graphic. He was 2nd team All Mountain West, the same year we've been talking about, 2023 at New Mexico. A couple other tidbits there, he had 4th most rushing touchdowns in the season at New Mexico history, and I think he had like 233-yard rushing game, which is like the 6th most in New Mexico history. So, it was a memorable year. It put him on the map. So, it served its purpose. It got him to a bigger program, got him to a Power 4 school like Arizona. It just didn't work out with, the eligibility. And hometown, he's from Alabama. And you know what? I have the comp as Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford had, I think he's had like a 500-yard NFL season, 800-yard NFL season, and then I think his rookie year, he didn't do much anything. I think he was just buried on the Browns depth chart. But I mean, Jerome Ford, I mean, for a time when Nick, when Nick Chubb went down, I mean, he was kind of their feature guy. He kind of just worked his way up the depth chart. Jerome Ford was a 5th-round pick. He played. Remember, he was on that Cincinnati team with Desmond Ridder and Sauce Gardner and all those guys. So he let's see. I'm gonna mention some of the high school stats as well while it's up there. There's another graphic there. And you know what? I some of these graphics, man, I just love. I love the colors. So he was a 0-star recruit. I don't think that's the first guy that we've mentioned in our draft spotlights here that where he was a 0-star recruit. And I'm pretty sure Jay might be able to look that up too, like what his transfer, if he was a 3 or 4-star transfer portal, like his rating. But when he coming out of high school, he was 0-star, so he was completely off the radar. Nobody knew anything about him. That's how he ended up at Alabama State. High school career, had a pretty good senior season. Had about over 1,300 yards rushing, almost 400 yards receiving. 10 total touchdowns. So he can catch. I know it's been a while. Been 5 or 6 years, but he's capable of catching. I know that's the big knock on him right now is he's not a receiver. He's not a receiving back. He's not your 3rd down back. He's too old or all this stuff. It's like I think they just need to give the guy a chance. Like, hey, start running routes, man. Like that day 1 in training camp, draft him. Hey, you're going to make this team. You're going to start catching passes. Give him an ultimatum. I'd put him to test there, but and I put some of his receiving stats there in this graphic as well. A couple years ago at Alabama State, had 13 receptions, 167 yards. The previous season, 2023 at New Mexico, only 8 receptions, 72 yards, and then obviously he only played 1 game at Arizona, so he didn't catch any passes. So. I think that's still undecided. Like if he can be a receiving threat in the NFL or not. I think people are just writing him off too soon when it comes to that. You know what? We're gonna put up the put up some of his stats here. Rushing didn't 2 seasons there at Alabama State, and then the previous 2 as well. But I only have enough space for we put 4 seasons up usually. And with this guy, he just played too many college seasons. Couldn't include everything. So he had, 100 or 240 carries there, 9 touchdowns, about, a little under 900 yards. So Alabama State, yeah, he wasn't, he just wasn't used that much. Just had, and it wasn't until like 2023 when he got to New Mexico, almost 1,200 yards rushing, 17 touchdowns. And then obviously at Arizona, just the 1 game, 13 carries, 106 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, I know. Got some team landing spots here, but I'll carry that over into a list of 5. Got 5, I say. There we go. It's expanded. And if Jay has any thoughts, he'll
Sorry.
We disappeared again. One of those days. One of those days, man. Yeah. I should have been drinking. I'll be honest. If I didn't have to go work out after this, I would. Yeah. I got a bottle of tequila that's got my name on it. But we got the 2, the split screen graphics out of the way. Everybody, they were up there long enough. So if you're following along with the show here, you probably got everything you need to know. Sometimes they overlap. Sometimes it's dual information. So we're gonna go with the 5 landing spots. I'll see what Jay thinks as well, and then he's gonna give a Dynasty breakdown in a few minutes here. I'm coughing up that bullshit. You know what? Maybe I should put these glasses back on. There, yeah, there we go. I feel better. My mind's cleared. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs as the best landing spot at pick 226, 7th round. Look what they did with Carson Steele. Carson Steele, undrafted free agent from UCLA last year. Carson Steele got some action this year. Isaiah Pacheco was a 7th round pick. You know, and he didn't he beat out Clyde?
Yeah.
You know, Clyde. So it kicked him to the curb. Well, he was awful. So I mean, he had to be kicked to the curb.
They actually got him in the 1st round.
Yeah, he was a 1st round pick out of LSU, I think, in 2020 or so. But
yeah,
I mean, these late round picks have worked out for the Chiefs pretty damn well. Samaj P. Ryan, the running back. I think I forget who he signed with, but he's not with the Chiefs anymore. But he's another guy that I think was an undrafted free agent at one point. So the running backs the Chiefs have had the last few years haven't been exactly Bijan Robinson or Saquon or any of these guys. I mean, Andy Reid's been making it work with Randos. So this could be another situation like that. Chiefs brought him in, so I know they're hot for him. And this is a spot that Pacheco is not a world beater. He's a good NFL running back, not a world beater or anything. And if he wants a bigger contract, they're just going to let him go. So you got cheap labor here. Take him in the 7th round and see what he can do. See if he can work his way up the depth chart, or maybe serve that. Maybe not as good of a receiver as Jerick McKinnon, but Jerick McKinnon a couple of years ago has some nice fantasy value with the Chiefs. So maybe serve that role as like the change of pace running back. Second, I put the Bears. The Bears. Let's. You know what? Boom. I got the depth charts right here, baby. There we go. Let me take the glasses off. There we go. All right. DeAndre Swift. Okay, he's I guess the feature for now. Roschon Johnson. Yeah, Roschon's okay, but Travis Homer. Like none of these guys are. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, Jay, if they, the first couple rounds they took. Marion Hampton, or maybe if Ashton Genty fell a little bit, maybe a feat like a true feature, a Caleb Johnson, a guy like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they took. But if they want to have some value late in the draft, I mean, didn't they get? I thought Khalil Herbert was a 6th or 7th round pick. Khalil Herbert was a nice change of pace back. Yeah, he was a nice change of pace back for them for quite a few years. So maybe they strike gold again. So the Bears might be a good landing spot there. Patriots, I put at number 3. Let's see what they're working with. I know Ramondre Stevenson's there, but what do they got? Antonio Gibson, yeah, and then a guy named Terrell Jennings. Not Juwan Jennings, Jay, not Greg Jennings, Terrell Jennings. So they got some room. I've never been an Antonio Gibson guy. I'm not impressed with him. I guess by default, Ramondre is their feature guy. Probably going to be their feature guy in 2025 as well. But so there's some room at the end of the depth chart.
Yeah, for sure.
To make some hay. So I wouldn't be surprised. Patriots take him 6th, 7th round. Wouldn't be shocked at all. I think he'd fit it. I think he'd fit it. He's the kind of guy Mike Vrabel and what they're building there. I think would do really well. Cardinals, another team that I know for a fact has brought him in and is kind of hot for him. Pick 225 in the 7th round. I know they got Trey Benson right now. Trey Benson was supposed to be kind of the eventual successor to James Conner. So, I mean, I would say the first 2 guys on the depth chart is pretty solidified, unless there's a major injury, of course. Looking at the rest, you got DeMarcado. Yeah. DJ Dallas. Michael. That's who Michael Carter's with now. Yeah, I remember Michael Carter with the Jets. I think he had like a 900-yard season with the Jets at one time. So I mean, how the mighty have fallen. He might be in the damn UFL soon.
Probably will be.
Yeah. So Cardinals, I put it 4, and then Steelers. He fits the mold. They lost Najee Harris. Obviously, wouldn't be surprised if they took somebody earlier. Maybe like a Caleb Johnson as well. If a team like the Bears doesn't end up taking him, but Steelers pick 229, 7th round. Let's take a look here. What are we looking at here? What Steelers? The Steelers. Jalen Warren's the feature guy right now.
Yeah.
Kenneth Gainwell. Come on now. Cordero Patterson's like 88 years old. Like, there's no way. And Jaylen Warren, I just compared him to Croskey-Merritt. So I mean, I'm not trying to diminish Jaylen Warren. I think he's a great complimentary back, but he can't be your feature. Come on. So I mean, that's an open competition there. Steelers, I'm assuming, are going to draft somebody, but if they end up taking a second running back, I think Croskey-Merritt would be a perfect Steeler. I think he fits in with what exactly they would want to do. Do you want to tag in, or do you have any thoughts on these landing spots at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think well, it all depends what the Bears do. Bears probably a good landing spot for him to kind of get in and do some work right away if the Bears don't take somebody high in the first round or whatever. Potential with the Patriots for sure, because I mean they'll need you need somebody in kind of the red zone kind of aspect there. Cardinals, yeah, I mean a lot of these are good landing spots possibly. I mean Steelers is a good landing spot for him to get work in right away too, especially at seventh. Being a seventh round pick, you can't go wrong with seventh round pick. These are just long shots, in the dart. So for me, a Steeler won't be too bad. I mean, maybe they can have a 1-2 punch with with Jaylen Warren or something like that. The Chiefs, I mean, it could be the same agenda. I mean, but they just have so many mouths to feed. He might not see a whole lot of work. So I mean, a lot of these other teams, I think it would be more suitable for him to like see work right away. If training camp with him getting the hype, I mean, that'd be the key.
Well, yeah, and that's the name of the game. We're trying to find it. We're trying to find you guys hidden gems, have fantasy value. You can basically you're taking a penny stock. When a guy is a 7th round pick, especially a skill position like this, more than likely he's gonna go undrafted in the main drafts. Obviously, in a dynasty draft, there's value there. He's gonna get picked up, but he's gonna be buried. He's gonna be buried in a taxi squad. You know what I mean? He's going to be buried on your practice squad.
Or waiver wire. I mean, it's kind of like
waiver wire too. Yep.
Yeah. We mentioned our guys. We mentioned toward the end of when we kind of were wrapping up our spotlights. Bob Means was one guy we looked at, and then the other our other guy from Utah. He went to the Broncos.
Yeah, Devon Vele. Joshua Cephas, who we talked about last year. From Roadrunner. Meet. Josh Cephas, he's still hanging on with the Jags. Maybe he can survive another off season, not get cut. But so a couple guys that are in that mold. Blake Watson, running back from Memphis from last year, the Broncos. He's kind of been hovering around their practice squad. Maybe so there's a bunch of guys in the same mold as Croskey-Merritt. So trying to find hidden gems, because Jaylen Warren was at this stage at one point. A few years ago, this Jaylen Warren was Jacory Croskey-Merritt. So, and Jaylen Warren has had, I mean, there's been in deeper leagues, there's been weeks I've started Jaylen Warren. You damn right. There's been weeks he's had a bunch of value, especially in the receiving game. So,
yeah, I mean, fancy points are fancy points, and that's why we're diving into these. Yep, and that's why we kind of break these down a little bit for you. We break these guys down for you. Kind of what they did in the college realm of fantasy sports, and then we kind of transition those into kind of the NFL settings a little bit. But we just kind of give you a good fancy breakdown of these guys, and you think about what Merritt did in 2020. Oh, god dang it. Did it again. I didn't have it all set up for me to transition over.
Yeah, right. We're just vanishing. We're coming back.
People are gonna be watching, like, what the hell just happened? Like, no, guys, we're just trying to get into our next scene here, and I didn't have everything set up, so I apologize.
I got a scene I can set up for him.
You fucking dirty ass man.
It's gonna be about 20 minutes.
But we're talking about Merritt here. I mean, he's a guy that I think he has potential. I mean, to think about what he did in 2023 as a fantasy prospect, he was a top 10 guy, in 2023, and I was looking at, I actually did draft him in 2024, thinking that this guy is going to blow up, that this guy has potential of seeing 1,200 or 13, yards on the season. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I was mentioning to I was sending him a message last night. I'm like, dude, this guy had a potential of being a 1,500-yard running back the year before, or in 2024 or 2023, and he was with the Lobes at the time, and I was looking back at some of the teams he was playing. I mean, he should have had more yards. I mean, the thing about the teams he was playing in 2023, I mean, we're looking at Hawaii and some of these smaller schools where he should have had maybe 20, 23 touchdowns. He should have had maybe a little bit more in some of these games that you've been like, I mean, these are games they should have blown out some of these guys, but that's just the tune of what we're looking at right now. So it's just kind of one of those things. But I mean, the breakdown here, I put his 2023 stats, 190 yards, 17 touchdowns, receiving little lax. I mean, that's for me. I'm like, that's not gonna help you out if you want to get your butt into the game. You're gonna have to, step up the receiving game a little bit, be a little bit more involved, so that we will end up wanting to draft you in those aspects.
Yeah. And we totally agree on that. Like, he's got to step it up, especially he doesn't have the physical attributes as, like the first round guys from the last, 5-6 years, obviously go maybe a little bit further back, McCaffrey, Saquon, Bijan, all those kind of elite prospects. He doesn't even have the physical gifts of like an Ashton Genty, for example, who will be a first round running back. So he's going to have to do it. If he's going to get carries and get stats and get his name out there, the receiving portion's got to. I mean, it's got to be there.
I mean, just quick. For me, like he should have had like over 100 some odd yards playing against UMass. UMass is a small school. He should have tore them up. He only had 33 yards against them, 2 touchdowns. That's for us. I mean, for me, looking at UMass, he should have just like went through this team.
That's an FCS. That's an FCS program. I mean,
Hawaii, he had 10 for 46. Nevada, 10 for 44. I mean, unless their defenses were that great, in 2023, I mean, he should have tore these up. I mean, Utah State, he ran for nearly 233 yards. Fresno State, 209. And then the rest of them are just, kind of like 30 and 40 and 50 some odd yards. And you just look at these. I mean, he had some great 100-yard games, but looking at these other games and like, some of this stuff doesn't make sense to me a lot. So I'm just like, for me, I think he probably could have left yards on the table, in my eyes when looking at his 2023. 2024, I mean, I was like, ooh, looking at the schedule, I'm like, he should have had, he probably would have been back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher for sure, at least.
I honestly, because he was the offensive line he had in New Mexico wasn't the greatest either. They were ranked pretty low in the Mountain West from what I was researching. And we both know Noah Fafita. I mean, he had a pretty damn good 2023, fell off a cliff last year, just threw a bunch of picks, a bunch of dumb turnovers, but Arizona's offensive line wasn't very good either. So, but still, I think it would have been much improved. You have a running back of this caliber. I think Arizona would have been in a much better position and kind of masked some of the issues of their O-line that got, Noah Fafita killed last year. But
yeah. For sure. To look at some of the strengths and weaknesses real quick, size and frame, he's got some of that. He's got good vision. He can trample over guys and he can truck through some of these guys. So he's got the power to do a lot of that stuff to get through the line.
For being 205, 208, he's got some power on him. He's a strong guy. He bench pressed a shit ton of reps at too. So I mean, he's strong. Yeah. He's a strong kid for his size,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the receiving game we already talked about. Top end speed, probably not so much because I'll kind of break that down here a little bit for you guys. Be like, well, his top end speed. I'm like, yeah, it's probably not there just because the way they used him and competition too. That could have been because the New Mexico, not the greatest, so you don't really see really stout defenses when you think about that, or high end like ranked teams and whatnot, so for me, I think that would have been a little bit downfall for him in that aspect there. But I'm sure you're looking up something. But I'll run down some of the key metrics while you're looking up some of that stuff.
Yeah, I got zapped again. I got fucking. It's one of those nights. It's okay. It's a shit. collectively known as the shit show. It's fine. It's fine. You know what? Ignore all this stuff. Just gonna cherry pick all the good stuff from this episode.
Yeah. But yeah, some of his key metrics, he had six carries over 20 plus yards. So I mean, that's kind of a plus. I mean, I probably would have liked to see it in double digits, and then we would have known he got the bulk of the carries and whatnot. That he's that explosive runner that we all kind of like. I want to see. The red zone efficiency 50%, which is kind of really good. So everybody's like 50%. So what I do when I break down the red zone, I go right from the kind of the 19. I combined both 19 and 10 is, so they, I put all those combined together to kind of give you one lump sum of his breakdown. Cause I mean, overall, from the 20-yard line out, he has 11 touchdowns. I mean, I could have break that down a little bit more for you guys, but this is a rough general idea of what he can do in the red zone. Then the kind of the 10-yard line and closer to the red zone, he had 9. So you can kind of give an aspect. So I just combined all that together, which I probably could have just broke it down. Here's what he did in this and this, but just an overall rate for this guy: 6.3 yards per carry, and he was getting at least 15 carries per game. So I mean, that's quite a bit for a running back.
No, I mean, yeah, it was very impressive. He wasn't working with anybody. I looked at New Mexico; they didn't have a single guy that was drafted or like anywhere. Like their team was trash. I mean, their program is down. And the fact that he put up 17 touchdowns is just amazing. And I don't know. I think he was shortchanged in 2024 at Arizona, and I think we would have seen a lot of the same statistics. It's sad that we have to talk about 2023. We're talking about a
right?
dead season. It's a year and a half ago at this point.
It is. It's very well said. But just for me,
he was effective in the red zone, Jay. I mean,
yeah,
50%
that's
touchdown rate. I mean, if he was a little bit bigger. I mean, if he was like 6'1", 230, we'd be talking about him as a goal, like Marion Barber. Marion Barber back in the day, like just a goal line, like a touchdown machine, goal line back. He's just, because he's a little small, smaller compared to some of those big bruisers, or Brandon Jacobs from the Giants back in the day. But yeah, I think he'd be a damn good red zone running back, goal line back.
Yeah. For me, that's where I'd seen where like he did most of his work was in the red zone. Like, and he, pretty much other than that, he was kind of a small, chain mover until he got to like the the red zone area. Then that's when you kind of saw him turn it up a little bit. So I mean, other than that,
he was Najee Harris, but could actually score.
Yeah, yeah.
Najee has issues putting his feet in the end zone.
Yeah. So my comp to Mr. Merritt here is Chris Rodriguez from Washington. If you guys all remember him a little bit, he was kind of flashy, and he kind of did a few things, so he kind of falls in one of those kind of books, when we look at Merritt here. I mean, he has potential, but like if he gets on the field, that's going to be the most of it. For draft projections, this is for this rookie mock drafts, or not mock drafts, rookie drafts. If he does land in a good position, maybe around 4-ish, or an undrafted free agent, in one of those, if you want to take a risk on this guy, I think around 4 would be a liable shot if you think you want to take a shot on him. Super flex. I mean, it all depends on how big your super flex is. How many rookie rounds you got. Maybe around 5 undrafted. A look if you're kind of just redraft, just a low priority stash. Best ball. Pretty much targeting the final rounds. And is he tech? Sorry, is he taxi squad worthy? Yes. But I mean, I would just monitor depending on where his landing spot is, and depth chart opportunities. So we mentioned some of those teams already that there's a chance for him to he could probably do some work in with the 5 teams that we gave you guys tonight. So I'll give you my quick ceilings to floors real quick on this guy and give you guys a little bit better, just an overall ceiling and we think he would do. So let's do with the floor first. The ceiling is going to be a little interesting. So the floor, it's going to be a Snoop Connor or Larry Roundtree, just a guy who's just kind of around for a couple years. It may,
washes out of the NFL kind of guy.
yeah,
Right? I remember Roundtree from the Chargers. He was flash in the pan. He got his ass out.
Mid range, I already mentioned my comp, Chris Rodriguez. He's pretty much a backup bruiser who can, he earns downs and it's just limited pass work, keeps ceiling capped. So he's just he's good with running the ball through the tackles and stuff like that, but his pass game just totally blows. And then last but finally, the ceiling, I think, this is some of his potential is a Zach Moss, 2023 with the Colts, wins a committee role, handles the goal line work, and he's kind of a flex RB2 weeks when elevated. So those are
I think that's a good ceiling. I don't ever see Jacory Croskey-Merritt being a top 5 fantasy back, top 10 fantasy back. But if he could be, Zach Moss had some really good years. I mean, Jerome Ford a couple years ago was solid when Nick Chubb went down. If you could have a career like that, you're going to have him on your roster. You're going to pick him up off the waivers. You're going to have him on your taxi squad. So, get familiar with the name. He's going to make an NFL team. I think at worst he's a third string running back.
Yeah, at worst. But I mean, he has, like we all mentioned, he has potential for growth. Dynasty potential, I got him as a 4 right now just because of the landing spot. I mean, I was thinking maybe 5 across the boards, but I'm just like, we really didn't see a whole lot from him last year. We had to look at 2023's, stats and stuff like that. So that kind of dinged him for me. But his rushing value is a 5 for me because I think there's some talent there for him in that, and then the NFL readiness is a 4 too. So I just think some of the competition for him, just kind of lacked a little bit. I mean, if you would have seen something with Arizona this year with him playing some more stout defenses, that might have been a little bit higher for me in those aspects right there. But the rushing value is a 5 across the board. So this is kind of my breakdown of Jacory Croskey-Merritt.
And that's it's a nice addition there that Jay brought up, is that we were kind of robbed of seeing him against a Power 4 conference. What he'd look like against a Colorado, a K-State, Arizona State, programs like that had really good seasons. Iowa State, a Big 12 was a little underrated. I think they were better in the ACC. Nowhere near the SEC or Big 10, but I think the Big 12 was the third best conference, and I think we were robbed of seeing a full slate from Jacory Croskey-Merritt. He might have improved his draft value too, so we'll never know. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands. I mean, I think we all consensus day three guy to undrafted free agent, and I think I would maybe hold off. I don't know when your league or whenever you're going to do a dynasty draft, but yeah, kind of see where he ends up. See where he ends up first, and then over the course of the rest of the spring and summer, draft him accordingly. Because it's a big, like we said, it's a big difference between going to, like who's a running back cupboard that's empty. The Raiders. You know what I mean? Raheem Mostert is the feature back right now. That's a joke. The Steelers. Jaylen Warren feature back right now. It's a joke. So there's places. I mean, he could legitimately compete like day one, and compete for touches. And then other places where he'll be buried as the third or fourth running back. So, just.
Yeah, that's our that's a kind of our breakdown. Eli gave you some highlights on his career.
Gave you some other stuff too.
Wait. What he did in his career.
Your dumbass.
4-year college breakdown. We gave you 5 teams of some decent landing spots where his potential could get on the field right away, and then I gave you kind of a dynasty breakdown and his ceiling, floor, and mid, all that great snazzy fancy stuff over there. And but yeah, other than that, I think we're going to wrap up. We're going to get the heck up out of here. It's been a very interesting night for us here in the studios, and but yeah, check us out on the YouTubes. Give us a like and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that. I mean, we're slowly growing. I mean, I believe a lot of people like our breakdowns on these spotlights. So hopefully there's some, we're giving you guys the best of what we can when we break these people down. But yeah, and check out our playlist too if you guys can. I mean that's how we have more of those breakdowns in our playlist over there. Follow us on the X. So we got the Apple Pods, Spotify, got the Discord. All those will be down there, and we are on Twitch. And we, eventually, I think we'll do a live stream here sooner than later, because we will be doing a few more things too.
It's been a while. We're due.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch the live stuff, because whenever you come across this, whenever it's posted, obviously you can't live interact with us. It'll be a dated show, but try to put something up live. We were thinking about doing we did running back the transfer portal. So we talked about some of the running backs that moved up from FCS, or some of the guys that moved from maybe the G5 to a Power 4 conference. So we talked a lot about the running backs. We'd like to do the same thing for the receivers as well. So tight ends, quarterbacks, we'll get into all that over the coming time. And the draft, we got a draft night special coming up in a couple weeks. That we're gonna bang out. So we got some live stuff coming up as well. It's been a minute, but it's the off season, and we've both been busy with stuff. We apologize for that, but
and if you guys want to leave some comments down below on this video when this is uploaded, on Merritt, hey, it's better for us, better for you to interact with us, and we'll chime in a little bit, back with you, and maybe it's just one of those things, it's just maybe a few more comments on our videos would be very helpful to spread the word of our
spread the good word
of Merritt, so we'll see what happens. But other than that, we appreciate all you guys watching our videos. It means a lot to us. We're slowly growing organically. So I mean, we're not, we don't have any sponsors helping us. It's just two guys putting in the work.
Two guys, one cup.
Two guys just breaking down these guys, breaking down prospects for you for your rookie drafts and all that good stuff. And yeah, other than that, I think we're gonna wrap up and get the heck up out of here, as Ellen Knight would say.
Yep, I'm Eli. That's Jay. Happy tax day. I hope everybody gets lots of money back.
All right, so we're out of rhythm. We'll catch you guys on the next spotlight. Laters.